I made a lot of money, had a lot of people work for me, but I was ostracized and isolated at work, and it made me physically ill. I came to find out that I had 2 bleeding ulcers because of this. I'm a low stress California dude, and yeah, it was stressing me the hell out. I'm a social person. I was isolated at work every day, and I hated it. You go to school for all that time, and you get these degrees, and you're ready to get out the world and use your degrees and make something of your life and do what you're supposed to be doing. And I did it. And I was miserable. So one day I took a leap of faith. Yes, faith. And put in my 2-week resignation. Now I know you probably heard me tell this story before. I didn't have a plan. I didn't have a backup job. I'd already found a job. Hello, Gardner. This is Rakai Steve New from the Ville. Welcome back. I'm talking about the feeling that we all know. The sheer exhaustion of taking 1 step forward only to be knocked 2 steps back. You put in the work, you solve the problem, you think you won. But then life hits you with a devastating new reality that undermines all your progress. It's frustrating, it's demoralizing, and it's the ultimate test of resilience. How do you keep fighting when the victory that you just won is overshadowed by a loss that shatters your entire world? I'm going to be taking a media therapy deep dive into Doctor Who Season 12, Episode 2, Spyfall, Part 2. This episode is a lesson in relentless setbacks. I explore how the Doctor and her companions go from surviving a plane crash to meticulously weaving a counterattack across centuries. Don't worry, I'll explain that. Achieve victory over the Kasaavin only to immediately face the ultimate and existential loss, the destruction of Gallifrey. I'll analyze the cost of resilience and discover what it takes to truly absorb a world-shattering defeat while still holding on to the purpose that keeps you moving. Get ready to challenge your assumptions about winning and losing and finding the strength to keep fighting the moment the next bomb drops. Let me tell you a little story. Once upon a time, I was an accountant. I can't say if I was a good accountant or a bad accountant, but I was an accountant. I made a lot of money, had a lot of people work for me. But I was ostracized and isolated at work, and it made me physically ill. I came to find out that I had 2 bleeding ulcers because of this. I'm a low stress California dude, and yeah, it was stressing me the hell out. I'm a social person. I was isolated at work every day, and I hated it. You go to school for all that time, and you get these degrees, and you're ready to get out the world and use your degrees and make something of your life and do what you're supposed to be doing. And I did it. And I was miserable. So one day I took a leap of faith. Yes,
Знімаю.
faith. Put in my 2-week resignation. Now I know you probably heard me tell this story before. I didn't have a plan. I didn't have a backup job. I'd already found a job. God told me to move. So I moved. Just so happened, my partner said he was going to put in his application at the local school board. So I was like, shit, I ain't doing nothing. I'll go with you. And I putting in an application to substitute, something to do. And I felt that maybe this was fun. Which I know, the thought of teaching kids usually is not using the same word as fun. But I didn't realize it at the time that I had a calling to do that. Funny thing about when God calls you to something, it pulls away from you the things that no longer serve you. And I didn't realize it at the time. My first wife resented the fact that I became a teacher. I did not know this at the time. Just for whatever reason at the time, she didn't like it. I switched up my life. The amount of money I made, the amount of prestige I had from being an accountant to becoming a teacher. And everything went to hell from there. Now, I know that the saying is normally you have to take 1 step backward in order to take 2 steps forward. But in this case, I tried to take one step forward and ended up taking 2 steps back. I ultimately got a divorce and I started dealing with depression. I didn't know I had depression and I continued to deal with it when my new wife came along and my kids, and I didn't really figure out, not even through my own accord really, that that's what I was dealing with until I was on the verge of a second divorce. And sometimes that's what it is. You have to deal with what is in front of you. If you want to take a step back so you take 2 steps forward, then you have to make sure that the pathway is clear. I took a step forward, but I didn't look to see if there was anything in my way. And I stumbled, and I tripped, and I fell 2 steps backward. And I'm still trying to make up those steps. But I ultimately believe that when it's all said and done, that step forward was the right thing. And even though I took 2 steps back, and sometimes I feel like I'm still stumbling backwards, I'll end up much further than I ever dreamed in the first place. Let's get into it. Hello, Governor. This is Kasaavin, new from the Ville. Now, if you rocked with me for any amount of time, then you know I don't want to do a long recap. I just want to get into say what I gotta say and we're out of here. Now, I want to remind you to share this as much as possible, to like, to comment. Make sure that you pay attention. Give me some comments about any time that you've taken a step backward and 2 steps forward, or you thought you were taking a step forward only to end up 2 steps back. And make sure if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Now, anybody that knows me knows that I love my quotes, and I only have one today. And this is from an unknown author, and they say, "An arrow can only be shot by pulling it backwards. When life is dragging you back with difficulties, it means it's going to launch you into something great. So just focus and keep aiming." I'm going to call this media therapy deep dive. 1 step forward, 2 steps back. When you take 1 step forward and 2 steps back, sometimes you don't know the harm that can be caused by you trying to get ahead, trying to be successful. Because it's never your intention. You never intend to do any harm. You know what they say about the road to hell? It's paved with good intentions. That is a cruel definition of the doctor's life. If you watch the stories, you know how much good the doctor has done. The doctor saved lives, saved worlds. But you know, in the doctor's wake is a path of destruction unlike any other. You know, most of us will never be able to understand. Most of us will never understand the emotional fortitude required to save the universe. Especially, this episode demonstrates that the ultimate struggle is not against an enemy's trap, but against the emotional setback that immediately negates your hard-won victory. Real quickly, we ended off the last episode with the doctor being stuck in the world of Kasaavins. When she gets there, she finds a woman named Ada. We later find that this is Ada Lovelace, a pioneer in computers and technology. She's an absolute marvel. The doctor figures out how to get out of the Kasaavins world, and at the last moment, when she's going, Ada grabs onto her. So as it turns out, the master shows up. When Ada and the doctor first leave the Kasaavins place, they end up in 1834, where Ada takes the doctor to meet polymath Charles Babbage. Again, the master shows up, but the doctor figures out the master doesn't really know anything about the Kasaavins because he doesn't understand how they got out of there, and he doesn't really understand what their plan is. The doctor figures out a way to trigger the figurine in Babbage's office, and as she's leaving, because she thinks it'll get her back to the present, Ada grabs her again, and they end up in Paris. There, they end up meeting Noor Inat Khan, who also, another historical figure, she was a spy in Paris during World War II. Noor was an Indian Muslim born in Moscow and she was a special attachment to the British military. She was an extremely important figure, which I think you should go look up, just like Ada Lovelace. The Master runs up on them posing as a Nazi officer atop the Eiffel Tower, and he tells the Doctor that he sent the Kasaavins to kill all the spies to get the Doctor's attention. He also tells that Gallifrey has been destroyed. The Doctor figures out a way to turn off the Master's perception filter, and he's probably about the least Nazi-looking person ever. And so the Nazis go to deal with him. The Doctor and Ada and Nor take the Master's TARDIS and go to the present. Now, back in the present, remember the companions were crashing on a plane, on Barton's plane. And the Doctor figures out a way in the past to put all the instructions on how to safely land the plane so that they survive on the plane where they find them, which they do, and they survive. But by the time that they land, Barton has, labeled them to be terrorists. But they're able to steal one of Barton's cars and get away. Barton is at a convention, and he reveals to everyone that the Kasaavins are going to use the people's DNA like storage, like hard drives. It's very Matrixy. Now, when the Doctor left the Master back in World War II, the Master didn't have his TARDIS, so he is forced to live out all of this time. So he's at the convention, and he's going to activate the figurine and have the Kasaavins come and do what they do to people. But the Doctor figured out a way back in the past to put a virus in the figurine so that it doesn't work. Barton sneaks out the back and tries to do a getaway, and then we have this weird getaway chase scene like through a vineyard, and it was weird. The Doctor ends up returning Ada and Nor to their respective times and wipes their memory so that she doesn't mess up history by telling them too much. She then goes to visit Gallifrey to see what the Master did, which she finds a recording of him telling her he destroyed Gallifrey because everything that they've thought, everything they've ever known has been a lie. Their entire history has been a lie based on something called the Timeless Child, which we heard about before, but we still don't have any real clues into what that actually even is. The companions figure out now, a season plus in, who are you? Who is the Doctor? And she proceeds to tell them what she thinks, what she knows of her own backstory. All right, so 3 things. First is the very hard-won step forward. The Doctor weaves this counter plan against the Master with the help of a few allies that were not her companions, like Ada Lovelace and Nora Khan. And that now it all culminates in the successful sabotage of the Kasaavin Barton Master plan mess. Now, this was a step forward. This was an external victory. They've saved how many lives? They've saved us basically from a Kasaavin invasion. But here's the steps back. The first step back, simple. The Doctor gets trapped. The Doctor gets trapped in the Kasaavin's dimension, and the companions are on a jumbo jet that is crashing to the ground from a great height in the sky, and no one knows how to fly a plane. There's no one else on the plane, just these 3 about to die in a fiery crash. During that crash, the Master revealed himself. Barton wasn't even on the plane, and he jumped with the only parachute that was on board. That's seriously a step back. The ultimate step back, and the thing is that they didn't happen in order. First, there was a step back. Then there was a step forward. But then the ultimate step back was they just got this victory over the Master and Barton and foiled the Kasaavin plan. But the Master gives her a final confession. He tells her about Gallifrey being destroyed. So she goes to Gallifrey and sees that it actually was destroyed, and then finds a recording of the master that says, "Oh, did I forget to tell you? I destroyed it. They lied to us. I didn't take it well." Now you would think after everything that's just happened, the doctor would be on cloud nine, but her true strength didn't come from the win over the aliens. It came from her decision in this moment to absorb this existential loss. She chose to maintain her focus and just carry the weight, the burden of this devastation, demonstrating that the doctor has a resilience that's far beyond any human endeavors. I say all of that to say this. We can all feel like we get pushed beyond our limits. And you have to be very careful when you change course, because sometimes it's not just you, it's other people that don't want you to change course. They are upset that you chose to change course. I feel better about myself if you're doing the status quo or things are not going well for you. Very few people around you actually want to see you succeed. And I encourage you to have people around you who only really want to see you win. Sometimes it takes a while to figure that out. I started this off by saying that the name of this was One Step Forward, Two Steps Back. But I want you to realize that the order that this came in was you took one step back, one step forward, and then another step back. So you're still behind. You can change that. If you change your outlook, you change the people around you, so that it truly is taking one step back in order to take the two steps forward. This is Rakai Steed, Noob from the Ville. Make sure that you share this as much as possible. Like this video. Leave a comment. Have you ever had this situation happen to you, where you took a step back in order to take two steps forward? Or did you do like, unfortunately I did, and took a step forward only to end up two steps back? And if for some reason you haven't subscribed yet, it's okay. You can still do it by clicking the button. At the end of the day, it's all about this, but it really should be about this.